All right, now we're going to repeat that, and we'll do it in, let's do it in sixes.
All right.
Okay, ready? For the record. Okay, state your name for the record, please.
All right, my name is Pam Jones.
You are here to give testimony today, is that right?
Yes, sir, that is right. You want to know about the accident, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that is right. Okay, you have some notes there, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. That accident happened a long time ago.
Okay, you wrote those notes after the accident happened, is that correct?
That's correct, sir. The police officer said I should because I was a witness.
Do you remember the name of the police officer on duty at the time?
No, sir, I don't remember much after the accident happened.
Okay, do you recall when the accident happened?
I don't remember everything. I think it was June, but I don't know for sure.
All right, you remember where the accident happened, is that right?
No, sir. I don't know if I have the street names. I can't remember that.
That's okay. Do you recall if the officer sent you the accident report?
Yes, sir, the police officer sent it. I don't remember when, though.
To your knowledge, your testimony was in the report, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I think he said he would include it, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. To your knowledge, you were subpoenaed today?
I think I was. I don't know for sure. I think it's a subpoena.
Okay. This is the, do you recall how long, how fast, do you recognize all of that? And we'll just read it. We're going to go back. There's the same cadence maybe the first time, so that we did the first time on the other one. That's not timed. Okay. For the record, do you recall how long it was?
No.
Do you recall how much it was?
No.
Do you recall how fast it was?
No.
Do you remember how long it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how much it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how fast it was?
No, sir.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes.
Do you recognize this deposition?
Yes.
Do you recollect how long it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how much it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how fast it was?
Yes, sir.
Repeating for the record. Do you recall how long it was?
No.
Do you recall how much it was?
No.
Do you recall how fast it was?
No.
Do you remember how long it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how much it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how fast it was?
No, sir.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes.
Do you recognize this deposition?
Yes.
Do you recollect how long it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how much it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how fast it was?
Yes, sir.
Last time.
Can't speak.
For the record, do you recall how long it was?
No.
Do you recall how much it was?
No.
Do you recall how fast it was?
No.
Do you remember how long it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how much it was?
No, sir.
Do you remember how fast it was?
No, sir.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes.
Do you recognize this deposition?
Yes.
Do you recollect how long it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how much it was?
Yes, sir.
Do you recollect how fast it was?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move on. Something else. Sorry.
All right.
Whacking you.
Okay. I know this cameras, I see.
Okay, we're going to do
There's bruise on there. I don't know where it came from.
me.
No.
And you have proof? Now you have proof. Okay, let's do this in 6.5. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah. All right, ready? For the record. Well, what's the most you ever made from a Nevada load?
$325.
Where was that to?
That was probably out of Wairika to Coalinga, sorry.
From Wairika to Coalinga,
Wairika, Nevada to Coalinga.
California?
Yes,
How long did that take?
24 hours.
So you had to stay overnight.
Yes,
Where did you stay?
at a hotel,
I mean, what town?
Wairika, Nevada.
So you go over there, drive all the way over there, stay, get the load, and then come back?
And then stay here and then deliver the next day.
Wow, you have very many of those?
In the wintertime, we usually do.
Does the employer pay for you to stay over, or do you have to pay for it out of your own pocket?
Certain ones pay, certain ones don't. It all depends.
So it depends on the person you were picking it up from?
All depends who you're employed by.
Oh, so does Rossi pay for that?
No, it's out of my pocket.
Okay, so after this incident, you applied for unemployment from M. Van Fleet and Sons, and you got it?
I was on unemployment before this happened.
Okay, and then you were on unemployment after this happened, this accident.
Right.
Okay, so why weren't you working for Brazil? Did you tell them that you were too injured to continue?
Right.
And how long did you tell him that?
What do you mean, how long did I tell him?
Well, did you say I should be better in a couple months, or did you try to get more work with him or something?
I told him I didn't know how long I'd be.
Okay, so how long were you on unemployment after this incident?
Up until the time I went to work for John Rossi.
So like 6 months or?
Yeah, I was on 6 months on unemployment. 76 months, 27 weeks, I believe is what it is.
Okay, and during that whole time, you still got checks from unemployment?
Right.
How much were your checks?
197 every 2 weeks. Is that right? No. 197 a week.
Isn't there a condition of unemployment that you have to sign a statement that you're looking for work?
That's right.
And did you do that each time you applied for a check?
Yeah.
And you were out looking for work that whole time?
Yes.
And you weren't able to find any work during the summer months?
No.
Okay, have you ever collected disability insurance? Ever collected disability insurance?
Yeah, I believe I did.
When was that?
I believe around 1982.
Is that when you were 18?
Just 18, I believe.
For the knee surgery?
Yes.
You had been working before that?
Yes.
Is that the only time you collected disability?
Off the top of my head, that's all I can recollect right now.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Nope.
No felony convictions either?
Nope.
Okay, what did you do at Van Fleet and Son?
Hauled hay, same deal.
Got paid the same thing, about $200 a day for short loads?
Yeah, maybe a little better.
Did you work every day, or did sometimes you only work 3 days a week?
Every day.
Is every day like 5 days a week or 7?
6 days a week.
6 days a week?
Mostly 6.
Is this the only time you've been on unemployment?
No.
When was the other time you were on it?
Years ago. I don't know the exact year.
Not in the last 5 years.
I don't believe it's been in the last 5 years, no.
Okay, how long did you work for Van Fleet and Sons?
5 years, 4 maybe, under 5 years.
Who was your supervisor there?
Ron Van Fleet.
Where are they? Where's their location?
Carroll Road in Escalon.
Was he your supervisor, Rick Van Fleet?
Yes.
Why did you leave Van Fleet and Sons?
Lack of work.
Same thing. You drove one of their trucks?
That's right.
Ever been terminated from an employer in the last 10 years?
Nope.
Ever been in the military?
No.
Tell me about this incident that's the subject of this lawsuit. In your own words, tell me what happened.
Excuse me?
Go ahead and tell me what happened.
Okay. I don't know the exact date it was, but it was about the middle of the day. I was in my barn working on some stuff, and I heard a vehicle pull in my driveway. I noticed the pickup that pulled in my driveway happened to be a friend of ours, so I paid no attention to it because my wife and my baby daughter were at home. The next thing I know, I hear a motor revving up real loud and rocks and stuff getting thrown around in the driveway. And I look and I see a brown Chevy pickup with a tow bar in the back of it speeding through my driveway and backing up into this red S10 pickup to hook up to it. And when he hit it, it bounced away.
Okay. We'll do it in sixes. Let's start here where we said there. Okay, six. Okay. All right, ready? Continuing on, same case. For the record, when did the San Joaquin sheriffs come? Was that
After I returned to my house and called them out to take pictures and a report.
Did you give a statement to the the Stanislaus County sheriffs?
Yes.
Have you read their report?
No, I haven't.
The officer says that Thompson told me he was at his residence at 29353 East Lone Tree when a friend drove up who he recognized. A few seconds later, he heard tires squealing in his driveway, and he observed a pickup he did not recognize back into his friend's pickup, that being Mrs. Foster. Thompson saw Foster get into her pickup and take off on Lone Tree Road. Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
Thompson said he did not know what was going on and that he feared his friend might be assaulted by an unknown person. Is that true?
That's true.
You don't disagree with this?
No, I don't disagree.
The tow truck that Johnson was driving looks like a regular pickup with a hitch, which comes out of the bed of the pickup. Is that true?
That's right.
Okay, Thompson told me that he followed Mrs. Foster and Johnson. Is this true?
Yes.
He told me that several times Johnson attempted to get in front of Foster to make the vehicle stop. Is that true?
That's true.
Thompson told me he eventually got between the two vehicles, but Johnson again passed them, attempted to get Foster to stop. Is that true?
That's true.
Did Johnson tell you that he was trying to repossess the truck?
He told me he was the law and for me to stay out of it.
But he didn't tell you he was trying to repossess the truck?
He didn't, not at any time.
Thompson told me that he followed the vehicles and saw Foster pull into the driveway at 122 Lambeth, and that Johnson then backed up and rammed the truck again. Did you tell him that?
Yes.
Did you see the truck move at all when he tried to pick it up?
Sure did.
Did you?
She wasn't out of the car either. She was just getting out of the car and her kids were running up.
Were her kids in the truck?
No, they weren't.
Okay.
They were at that address.
Did you tell the sheriffs that you thought that her kids were in her car with her when she came in your driveway?
I said I didn't know if they were or not.
Did you think that they were in it?
I thought it was a possibility.
Okay. Thompson told me that he pulled his truck in front of Johnson so that Johnson could not leave.
That's right.
Thompson told me that he then went up to the driver's side and began yelling at Johnson, asking what he was doing.
That's right.
Thompson told me that Johnson would not identify himself, but just said that he was there lawfully.
He said he was the law. He didn't say he was there lawfully. He said he was the law.
Okay. Thompson told me that he hit the window several times in an attempt to get Johnson to roll it down to talk with him. Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
So is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Thompson told me that the owner of the residence came out, that being John Morris. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, then John Morris came out, etc., etc. Thompson then told me that when Kerr arrived, another gentleman arrived. Are these both elder gentlemen, Johnson and Kent? Can you?
Older than me.
How would you describe Johnson?
I don't know. Late 40s, early 50s.
And about what size?
Oh, probably about 180, something like that. About 5'10", 5'11".
Would it surprise you if I told you he was 60 years old?
I don't. It wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't care.
Okay.
He's the one that said he wanted to fight.
Okay. Thompson told me that when Kent arrived, the other guy arrived, Johnson got out of the vehicle and again started yelling. And Thompson told me that he heard Johnson tell Kent, "Give me the club so I can beat him to death." So that's true.
That's right, and walked towards the back of his pickup to get it, I assumed.
Johnson went to the rear of Kent's truck, and Johnson reached in the truck but did not come out with anything he noticed. So he didn't get anything?
No.
Okay, Johnson told me that Kent then tried to hit him. So who tried to hit you? The other gentleman in the pickup that drove up? Or did the guy that was already...
He was getting out of the pickup, coming up behind me. I told him to sit down.
Did he try to hit you?
Which one?
The one that did... The other guy. Did Kent try to hit you?
No, not that I know of. My back was to him most of the time.
They messed up the people here, I think. Did this other guy... You said the other guy. Johnson did take a swing at you, though?
Yes, he did.
You pushed him away?
Yes, I did.
Says here that you say you pushed him away, that Johnson attempted to come at you again, and that you slapped him and pushed him to the ground.
Yes.
And when you said before that you hit him, did you slap him or did you punch him?
Slapped him.
And then how did he land on the ground? You just pushed him on the ground?
Uh-huh.
So did you hit him so hard it knocked him down?
I think I pushed him. I slapped him open-handed. I don't think it knocked him out.
On the driver's side of the truck that Johnson was driving, I noticed a large dent. Johnson told me that Thompson did this. Did you kick the door?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
It says here that you believe that you did.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I did, but I believe I probably did. I was pretty hot when he was in my driveway.
Okay, you said you had a 2.5-year-old child that constantly walks in the area of your driveway.
That's right.
Thompson told me that when Johnson was driving wildly in his driveway, that Johnson's vehicle hit his leg, causing injury to it.
Yes.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
So did you go out in the yard at some point in time and get hit, or when did that happen?
When I came out of the barn to find out what was going on.
What is that one?
200. Okay. I'm going to slow it down so that they
Okay.
can maybe read it back.
Okay.
Probably like 2 and 15s maybe. Okay, around there. So we'll start here. Okay. Ready? For the record, and, well, no, not and. It's not even on there. I don't know why I said and. Okay, now we're going to start. For the record. It says here that you believe that you did.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I did, but I believe I probably did. I was pretty hot when he was in my driveway.
Okay, you said you had a 2.5-year-old child that constantly walks in the area of your driveway.
That's right.
Thompson told me that when Johnson was driving wildly in his driveway, that Johnson's vehicle hit his leg, causing injury to it.
Yes.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
So did you go out in the yard at some point in time and get hit, or when did that happen?
When I came out of the barn to find out what was going on.
The vehicle actually hit your leg?
Yeah, we're at my house right now.
Yes, going back.
Yeah,
Which leg did it hit?
my right leg.
Which leg did you have surgery on?
My right leg.
So it's the same one that you had surgery before recently. Well, not recently.
Not recently.
Well, back when you were 18.
Yeah, but it was fixed then.
Did you see Dr. Conkin after this incident?
No, I didn't. I went to Oakdale Hospital to the emergency room.
And did they take x-rays of it?
Yes, they did.
And what did they show?
I don't know. I don't have the x-rays with me.
Did the doctor say you were okay?
I don't know what he said. I mean, I was walking.
You were there. Did he tell you, walk, you're healed? Or did he tell you to go home and rest or something?
He said go home and take it easy on it.
Did he recommend you see a physical therapist or anything?
He recommended that I have it checked.
Do you have a family doctor?
I used to. I don't right now.
Who was your family doctor previously?
Dr. Gage.
Gage. Where is Dr. Gage?
He's in Idaho now. He was in Oakdale.
When did he go to Idaho?
Probably about 4 months before this happened.
Who took over Dr. Gage's practice?
I'm not sure.
Is he in Oakdale?
I imagine. I don't know.
No, I mean, where was Dr. Gage when he was here?
He was in Oakdale,
Do you know the location?
right next to Oakdale Hospital. He had an office there.
How long was he there?
Years, many years.
Did he retire to Idaho, or
No, I think he just moved to Idaho.
was it necessary for him to move because he was like one step ahead of the law, or because he just wanted to?
I don't understand that question.
He wasn't in trouble with the medical.
I have no idea. He was my doctor. He wasn't my pal.
You didn't read anything negative about him?
We never discussed anything like that,
He just wrote you a letter saying, I'm moving to Idaho?
basically.
Did he recommend another doctor?
I don't know if he did or not. If he did, I didn't pay attention to who he recommended.
So you haven't gone to any other physicians since Dr. Gage?
I've been to other physicians, but not for any injuries. I've been to physicians for physicals for my job.
And who is the latest physical you went to?
Gould Medical.
Do you know who the physician was?
No, I don't. And yeah. I thought you meant
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
cross that out. We're not going to do it. So it's like Billy, this means stop.
Okay, we're going to look at those notes. Okay, ready? For the record, Mr. Smith, what is your address?
3431 South Mollison Avenue, New Orleans.
How do you spell the street name?
Mollison.
Do you live in an apartment?
Apartment number 29.
What is your current occupation?
A service manager of Larkin Pest Patrol.
And is that here in New Orleans?
Yes, it is.
How long have you been so employed in that capacity?
6 months.
Briefly, what are your duties as a service manager?
I have 6 pest control routes that I control.
Are you licensed by the Louisiana Structural Pest Control Board?
Yes, I am.
What licenses do you hold, and how long have you held them?
I hold a branch 2 and 3 field representative's license. My branch 2 I've had for approximately 10 years. My branch 3 for approximately 4 years.
How long have you worked in the structural pest control business?
About 17 years.
Were you at one time or other employed by Tom Nolan, the respondent in this case?
Yes.
In what capacity were you employed by Tom Nolan?
Several different capacities. I started off as a termite inspector. From there, I went into supervision, pest control. From there, I went to branch manager for approximately 3 months.
Approximately when to when were you employed by Tom Nolan?
I'm not too clear on the dates, probably 2.5 years.
Do you recall the approximate time when you left the employ of Tom Nolan?
I believe mid-April.
Of last year?
That's correct.
And you worked at Tom Nolan's approximately 2.5 years prior to April?
Yes.
Who were your supervisors at Tom Nolan's?
Let's see, Bill Rouse and Paul Blake.
Could you spell Mr. Rouse's name?
I could not spell that. Well, let me try. R-O-U-S-E, I think.
Thank you. While you were employed at Tom Nolan's, did you have occasion to work at a job at the Christ United Methodist Church on March 12th?
Yes.
Who instructed you to go to the church?
I don't know. I don't totally remember too clearly. It was either Bill or Paul.
Did you work on that job any other days other than the one day, which was March 12th?
No, that was the only day I worked there.
Do you recall what day of the week that was?
No, I don't.
Prior to your going to the church on March 12th, do you recall a discussion between yourself and one of your senior supervisors regarding the agreement between the church, Christ United Methodist Church, and Tom Nolan, your employer.
I don't recall that.
To your knowledge, was Tom Nolan in a contract with the church to provide termite control services?
Yes.
Do you recall how you had found out about this agreement?
No, I was just aware that they had one with them.
Do you recall giving a deposition in the case of Fred Joseph Lynn versus Dennis Johnson regarding this incident at the church?
Yes, I do.
And you were sworn to tell the truth under penalty of perjury during that deposition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And after you gave that deposition, were you provided with a copy of the deposition?
Yes, I was.
And did you have a chance to go over it and look at the transcript of your deposition?
Very briefly.
Mr. Smith, I'm directing your attention to page 24 of your deposition, line 21, and through the next page, page 25 through line 23, which is almost the whole page. Just read it to yourself and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Okay, I've read it.
And also read the top of page 26, line 1 through 5. Have you read that?
Yes, I have.
Having read those portions of your deposition, does that refresh your recollection as to whether there was a discussion? Strike that. Does that refresh your recollection as to whether you were told about an agreement between the church and Tom Nolan?
Yes, it does.
What were you told in that regard?
Prior to doing the service in the church, I was told approximately 2 weeks prior to that, I was going to be doing their service agreement. We were going to be doing some work on the church.
Who was we?
Gary Press and myself.
Was Gary Press at the time an employee of Tom Nolan at that time also?
Yes,
And do you recall who was present during the discussion?
myself and Paul and Bill. I don't remember who was in charge of it.
So one of your supervisors, right?
Right.
Was Mr. Press there?
I don't recall if he was or not.
I'd like to direct your attention to page 26 of your deposition, the remainder of the page, past line 21, to read that to yourself, okay?
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection about whether Mr. Press was there or not?
Yes.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
When your supervisors, either Mr. Blake or Mr. Rouse, had this discussion with you and Mr. Press, who did they indicate would be doing the job?
Myself and Gary would be doing the job.
Was there a discussion about anyone else?
I don't recall.
Did your supervisors at Tom Nolan say anything to you about what the problem was at the church?
What do you mean? Like what the job was?
Yes.
Drywood termite infestation?
Was there any discussion how extensive that infestation was? Do you recall?
No.
Was it your understanding that you would be eradicating this drywood infestation?
That I would be treating them locally.
What do you mean by treating locally? When you say you would be locally treating them, what do you mean by that?
Treating in the areas of the sheathing boards and the rafters
What would you be treating it with?
with the Whitmire product.
And what is the Whitmire product? Do you know?
It's a PT2 chemical pesticide.
For eradicating termites,
Yes,
you would be following behind the infested area with a gun, correct?
that's the intention of the pest control. You're behind the gun. In other words, we would treat the wood members and I would be behind him treating wood members too.
Who is he?
Gary?
Was anything said to you by your supervisors at Tom Nolan about there being a training session at the church on the March dates in question?
No,
Was Gary told of any training sessions to your knowledge?
you would have to ask him. Oh, sorry, it's so people out there.
That's all right. Let's see, we just.
Forget that.
What was that? What was it?
It's
Your
my
earring?
Yeah. We'll get it
Oh my
later.
goodness.
We'll get it later.
Is it the big giant diamond?
It's a giant pearl.
Yeah. Okay. Phew, she's throwing her jewels around now.
Right. God, I heard some music now.
Okay, this is something that we've done. I'm just gonna do this in like sixes, and if I push, that's fine. So I just want to give them a few minutes before we start taking. Okay, I'm gonna start here. I'll reset right here. Okay. For the record, Without telling us the exact address, what area was it, or the street?
Somewhere on Bering Cross Parkway.
Bering Cross Parkway, correct?
Yes,
When you left your mother's house, where did the three of you go?
we were on our way to my house, but we stopped at some girl's house.
Do you know the name of the girl whose house you stopped at?
Mary, I think.
Was Mike driving at this time?
Yes, he was.
Was it Mike's idea to stop at Mary's house?
It was.
Was this close to where your mother lived and where you lived?
Yes.
What happened when he stopped at Mary's house?
He talked to her.
Okay, he pulled up in front of her house, is that correct?
Yes.
Did he get out of the car?
No, he didn't.
Did any of the three of you get out of the car?
No, we didn't.
Did Mary come over to the car?
Yes.
How did she know that you were there? Did he honk or call her name?
That girl was there. She was standing there in front of her house talking on her cell phone.
I see. We're talking about Mary?
He seen her in front of her house, so he called to her.
She was in front of her house?
Yes.
And
then he pulled over, he called her and told her, come to the car.
she walked over?
Uh-huh.
Is that a yes?
Yes, she did.
Showing you people's three for identification. Do you recognize who the person is?
Yes.
Who is that?
That girl Mike was talking to.
Mary.
Yes.
When she came over to Mike's car, was she standing near the car?
She was leaning on the top of the window. The window was rolled down. She was leaning there.
Like leaning into the car?
Yeah.
Which side of the car?
On the driver's side.
And approximately how long did she talk to Mike?
About 10 minutes.
Did you know her?
No.
During that 10 minutes, did you or Francisco or Mike ever get out of the car?
No.
What happened after 10 minutes?
What happened? Well, he just kept talking, They were talking, making plans, They were making plans for us to, meet later on, She was going to bring some friends over, some girlfriends.
I'm sorry, they were making plans
Yes, we were going to meet at a later time.
on that evening?
Yes, and she was going to bring some friends over.
Who was going to bring friends over?
That girl, Mary.
All right, after you left Mary's house, where did you go?
To my house.
How long were you and Mike and Francisco at your house?
Well, we were there a long time. When we were all together, we were there till later in the evening, way later in the evening, just talking and playing the video games.
Were you there an hour or 2 hours, if you remember?
More than that, a lot more than that.
And at some point later in the evening, what happened?
Mike chose to go with the girl, so he left.
He told you he was going back to Mary's?
Yes, uh-huh.
Did you go with him?
No, I chose not to go.
What about Francisco?
He chose not to go too.
So it was your understanding that Mike left to go to Mary's house?
That's what he said.
Okay. Did you ever see Mike alive again after he left that evening?
No.
Mr. Torres, as I understand it, you had been to your mom's house with Mr. Moreno and Francisco, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, what time did you leave your mother's house?
Approximately like around 9 or so.
Okay, we're going to do our takes.